Hey everybody, I'm doing a video so I can hopefully help you collimate your telescope. Personally, I have an 8-inch Skyview Pro on a equatorial mount and a 12-inch Meade Lightbridge Dobsonian. I have found some issues with collimating my 8-inch Skyview Pro, which is this guy right here. I'll turn the camera around and show you, but I found some issues as far as collimating it with laser collimators. So today I'm going to actually use two of them. I do have two of them, and the reason I'm using two of them is because I'd like to kind of get a baseline, not baseline, but at least a middle ground between using this guy right here and also using a Meade Premium laser collimator. They're both laser collimators. They're both good. I don't know if one is better than the other. I have actually collimated the collimators by using Lego blocks and the wall. You could find YouTube videos on this, on how you can actually adjust your collimator to make sure that as you turn it around, the dot stays in the same place rather than like kind of going in a circle. If it is properly adjusted, the collimator, when you put it steadily on anything really and you turn it around, the laser should stay in place rather than create a dot. So I'm going to go ahead and you'll notice I'm not a video pro, but you'll notice me like pausing and coming back so I can show you the telescope and tell you how I found that collimating it in certain ways does not actually give you the precise way of collimating. So hang tight for me. I'm going to change the camera in a second. I'm going to pause right now. There we go. Okay, so real quickly, this is the telescope that I have, and there you go. It's pretty good. I enjoy it. They stopped making these. I'm sure they had their reasons. I see a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I've seen some people online have their opinions on the matter, but you know what, it's been really good for me. I use it for viewing. As you can tell, I can make it a go-to, but it's very hard to actually find the motors now. Excuse me. I just cleaned the mirror gosh, maybe 20 minutes ago. All right, so okay, so hold on a second. Here we go. What I have found is that when you want to collimate, specifically this, and I presume this goes for all telescopes, if you want to collimate a telescope, what I would recommend you do is you put it in this position, and I would even turn this up. You would have to unscrew these, but for any other telescope that has this type of mount and this type of setup, you may want to make this as close as you want to the middle. And the reason I say that, and I'll show you this in a second, is that when you put anything up here, whether it's an eyepiece or a collimator, you name it, if it moves around, it's not 100% perfect. So you want to get it as close to perfect. And I found out how to get that as close to perfect. And let me go ahead and show you real quick. Okay, so real quick, this is the Meade laser collimator. This is the Astromania collimator. Right? They're definitely different sizes. This is far heavier than this one. And you'll see why that matters, right? So I'm going to go ahead and take you guys over to the telescope. Let me see how I can put this camera real quick so that you can see what I mean. I think I'm going to pause this real quick and figure it out first. All right, so as you can tell, it definitely does not look collimated. Now, the reason I was saying that you should have the eyepiece as close as you can to center, or if you don't, you have to be aware of this fact. So here's the eyepiece. I put it in. It looks normal, but the problem is here is that it tends to move around. right? So what you want to do is you want to push at the top. And this is basically what you would do when you put an eyepiece on. So let me go ahead and bring the other one over so I can show you. When I put the Mead one on, because it is heavier, it's still kind of the same, but see, if I move it around a little bit, it's not perfect. Now, if I push on it, it will actually catch all the edges, just like this guy over here. If I push on it, it catches all the edges. See how it's closer to center a little bit? Okay. So what I would do, and what I usually do, is I push on it and then I tighten it, right? And what I do is I go back to the end of the telescope. See if I can get this in there. All right, and then we start messing around with this until we get that little red dot right in the middle. Okay, so we're at the point where we can't see it at the moment. So, okay, now we're talking about using two collimators. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this guy out. See, now that I unscrewed it and it's no longer in its tight position, see, tight position goes away. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this other one in. And I'm going to do the same thing, push it in as much as possible. This one seems to be very off, so maybe what I need to do is I need to try to calibrate it more, or maybe the other one is not as calibrated as this one. But that's about as center as you can get on that. Doesn't really get any more center than that, really. That's about as center as it gets. So now that I'm doing this and showing you guys, I'm actually debating whether or not my small collimator is not as well adjusted as I thought it was. Wow, this one is definitely far off. We found something to fix. Isn't that great? All right, let's check something out real quick. Okay, so this whole process of teaching you how to do something led me to understand that I actually have all my stuff wrong. So this is a teaching experience for both of us. Now, here's what I mean. I took two giant Lego pieces that my kid has. I put it on a box, and behind over there on the black panel, you're going to see a red dot. Now, my understanding was that, at least my belief was that the Mead collimator was properly adjusted, at least from what I remember doing a while ago. And I'm going to let you see how you can tell whether or not your collimator is properly adjusted. So I put this on the Lego blocks, and you'll see this on many other videos on YouTube. This is in no way the best way to do it, but just to show you an example, me thinking this was actually the properly adjusted collimator. Now I put it in the grooves, so this cannot move up or down. It can only really go in a somewhat perfect circle. As I turn it, you notice the red dot is creating a circle. This means that if I collimate with this guy, it's not going to give me the result that I really want. Now, the much less the less expensive Astromania laser collimator that I thought was not properly collimated, or at least properly adjusted, turns out that when I turn it around, excuse me here, it's a little hard because it's much smaller, but when you turn it around, if I stop moving the Lego blocks, you'll notice that it stays in the same place as I turn it around. At least if I don't move the Lego blocks. So, that leads me to believe that I should collimate my telescope based on this and not based on that. Whew, we figured out some things today. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pause this again and I'm gonna take you back to the telescope. Okay, so as I was saying before, when you put this in, make sure you push it in like you would push your eyepiece. See how it's changed a little? Well, actually, it looks like it's in the proper spot. It fit perfectly. So what I recommend is you hold on to this to make sure that every groove is aligned, and then you tighten it down. See, when you tighten it down, it moves, which is actually good because when you put an eyepiece, it will also move. The tightening of the eyepiece will make this dot move, and the tightening of the collimator does the same thing. So realistically, now that I'm thinking about, should I collimate without tightening this in? Well, if I think about it, it would make sense for me to collimate without tightening it in. But then again, when I'm using the eyepiece, will it affect the collimation if I leave it like this and then I put the eyepiece? Will I get a different experience, right? So man, this is really interesting. See what happens? Gosh, I don't know if you're close enough. I think, yeah, you might be. Well, let's try this again. Right, so if I collimate it, right now it's not tightened in. It's not tight. If I tighten it, it'll move. If I hold down hard enough, will it move? It still moves. That means that this part moves. Now, if I'm thinking about it hard enough, I probably, now that I think about it, I probably should collimate it without tightening that down, because realistically, I want the two mirrors to be properly adjusted regardless of how the eyepiece moves in here. That's only going to give me a different view, you know, I guess left and right, maybe. I don't know, maybe you guys can offer some advice in the comments. I'm no expert. I'm just doing this because I observed this, that you know, like I said in the beginning, as you put this in and you tighten it, it moves. So, you know what, just for fun, I'm going to collimate it without tightening it down. And I will look at the stars tonight, weather permitting, to see whether or not things make a difference. And, ooh, that was quick, wasn't it? Yeah. And then we tighten up this knob, and we tighten up this knob, and we tighten up this knob. Okay. Well, you know what? My collimator, no, it's not out of battery. Well, no, it's running out of battery. Okay, let me change the battery. Okay, battery's been changed. Haha. All right. Looks like we're in the right position. Everything is tightened down. And we are set to go, hopefully. Hey, thanks for watching, by the way. I'm sure I've made many mistakes. I'm not an expert by any means. I appreciate any guidance you guys have. But again, like I said, I did find that it is weird that when you tighten this down, as you can tell, it moves the collimator. So maybe you don't want to tighten it down because you just want to align the mirrors. It doesn't matter what this, I don't think it matters what this really looks like if it's tightened down. I don't think the eyepiece is going to make a whole lot of a difference when you tighten it down. As long as the mirrors are properly aligned, everything should be fine. So yeah, thanks again for watching. And I think I'm gonna make another video with my 12-inch telescope. All right, thanks guys, take it easy.